everybody. Hey, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in Far West Texas, minus Cascade the Wonder Dog. Well, because Cascade wanted to go inside and didn't want to do the video this morning, so it's just me. And I was out here working and I got to thinking, I hadn't planned on doing a New Year's Day or a Happy New Year message, but I'm out here, and if you haven't figured out what I'm doing, I am screening horse manure. In other words, I am literally up to my elbows in horse manure or horse crap. And I got to thinking, why not do my message based on horse crap? No, the new year's not going to be full of horse crap, but let me tell you one of my favorite stories. And it starts out like this, and I'm going to screen this while I tell you the story. There were some researchers, and they took two boys, two identical little boys, not identical, but two little boys, about 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, and put them in rooms. And they put them in two identical rooms that were about 2/3 of the way full of horse manure, like this. And they left them there for about an hour and came back, opened the door, and the first little boy was sitting in the corner as far away from the horse manure as he could get, and he was crying. And they said, "What's the matter, son? Why are you crying?" I'm in a room full of horse manure, and it stinks. I was, okay, well, that's kind of a typical response, especially the way that we've become sanitized, sterilized, and urbanized. That's kind of a normal feeling for horse manure, right? So they went to check out the second little boy. And they opened the door, and the second little boy was buried. I mean, he was just arms and shoulder and head deep in horse manure, flinging it every which way. And he said, whoa, hey, what's going on here, son? Why are you flinging all this? So I'll tell you something. With all this horse manure in this, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere, and I'm going to find it. I've been telling people for probably 4 years, look for the pony. Look for the pony. You know, we're inundated right now with, with either doom or gloom, doom and gloom, or this false bullcrap that's coming from the part of the media that isn't fake news, the good media, not the fake news media, telling you, oh yeah, everything's okay, maintain the status quo, no such thing as man-made climate disruption, there's no global warming, we're not depleting the world's resources, nor stripping the Amazon, nor doing this, and this. Everybody, doesn't matter what your thinking is on that subject, everybody is getting almost like this, like they're getting depressed, constantly depressed. I had a friend of mine called, he's 71 years old, and he called and he was just kind of whiny and he's, I think I have seasonal affective disorder, and he probably does. And I'm thinking, the whole, at least our country, let's talk about our country, it's got seasonal affective disorder. We have seasonal affective disorder because we are so divided right now, and we don't know what to do. I mean, I hate this group, I hate that group, I hate this, I hate that. It's actually a pretty good time for us to start the new year on a gloomy, cold day. Because that's kind of what we're looking at. And we can either go down that road, or we can go down that road of looking for the pony. But my New Year's message to everybody, those of you that have followed us, those of you that just tuned in because you wanted to see a Happy New Year message, this planet didn't survive 3.5 billion years. Yes, it is 3.5 billion years old, despite what some Bronze Age mythology might tell you. It didn't survive 3.5 billion years by going on the verge of total collapse every time something happened, like too many people on the planet. And it'll recover. This country didn't make it to be the greatest civilization in this recorded history by giving up every single time that we've had a crisis. I was thinking back, I didn't know my father, so I can't tell stories about my father, but I always talk about my mother. And 2020 is my 8th decade of life on this planet. No, I'm not 80 years old. My 8th decade. My mother died in her 9th decade on this planet. And I remember when we had moved her, uprooted her from everything she knew in Detroit and moved her to Houston. And I said, I came in one day to her house. We bought her the house across the street from us. And I came in one day and she was just sitting there just gently crying. And I said, Mom, what's the matter? I'm just feeling melancholy. Yeah, I was 30 couple of years old. I really didn't know what melancholy meant. I mean, yeah, I had seen the definition, but I never used the word. And I said, what do you mean, Mom? She said, oh, I miss my friends, because we'd taken her from all of her friends. She said, I miss my friends, I miss my home, I miss your father. Just remembering the old times. And I felt really bad for her until I got up here at the beginning of my 8th decade, and I could feel melancholy, especially right now with things not working out right. But you know, or not working out as good as I personally would like them to see. I'm sure there's about, you know, there's enough people that think, oh, everything's marvelous, right? Everything's great. I'm working 3 jobs and I still qualify for food stamps. So there's a lot of people that are just happy with the way things are. But you know, my mother, thinking back at her and her life, she lived through 2 of the worst wars really that this planet's ever seen. World War I, which was just awful. And there's a new movie coming out 2017 that's probably going to romanticize the horror of that war. And World War II, that was horrible. And in between, she lived through the Great Depression. And she also, although she lived in Detroit, she also lived through the Dust Bowl. The greatest ecological disaster that we've seen in this planet, I mean in this country. And yes, it was an ecological disaster 80, what, almost 100 years ago, now 90 years ago. An ecological disaster that we did, man, us, Americans, did this disaster. We also did the stock market crash of 1929, where it had my mother, at 16 years of age, going to the train yards and climbing over an 8-foot fence into the train yard to pick up coal in the wintertime. She would pick up whatever coal the engineers had dropped, take it home to their house. She lived in a home, urban home in Detroit, so that they could burn the coal to have heat in their house. Boy, how America's changed. Today, she and her twin brother, they'd be in jail for stealing the coal. Today. Back then, in 1929, there was somehow always enough spilled coal in that train yard for all the coal kids, as they called them. We need to spill a little bit more coal, don't we? That would be nice if we all spilled a little coal. Doesn't matter what your politics are, if we all spilled a little bit of coal, metaphorically speaking. And we buckled down here in America too after the Dust Bowl. We recovered. Well, we didn't recover and bring it back the way it was, because what it was what did to the Great Plains, what happened in the Great Plains. But we brought it back. We have the ability, we as a species has the ability, I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. We can bring things back. We can reduce our global footprint, the damage that we do to the planet, if we think. You have the ability right now. And this is my message to each and every one of you for New Year's. Each and every day that you get up, and as your days on this planet go from your 2nd decade to your 3rd to your 9th to your 10th, every single day throughout whatever decades you have on the planet, strive to put back to the planet more than you take. Put back more than you take. It's a simple goal. It's a simple wish. I wish for each and every one of you to put back more than you take. That's all. Leave this planet having put more into it than you took from it. And with that, I'm going to wish everybody a very, very happy and prosperous and healthy 2020. Go out and make something happen. This is Robert Earl at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in Far West Texas, up to my elbows in horse crap, saying we'll see you later.